excited again to stop by your corner just to share with you how I got in. So this episode is going to be talking about how when I got into the fellowship, into the faith, into the whole discipleship mode now, being a follower of Christ and being a person who is enjoying the privilege of being a Christian through trials, through testing, through temptation, whatever it is. I remember vividly this part of my life, I think, has helped me to know God and know God for myself. So remember I mentioned in the last episode about my new family that has shared with me how I should live, what I should do, and the practices that I should cultivate as a child of God and as a Christian. Now, this part of my life, I believe, has helped me to grow into a mature Christian, a trusting Christian into my walk with God. So time has passed by now where I have moved away from my family that has introduced me to church, and now I am living on my own. And so I was living alone, and I think I was a fearful person. I was a fearful person in that I was afraid of being alone, of sleeping alone in a house by myself, and I think I was very fearful. I had a lot of friends, but through it all, I think I just happened to be on my own, and that was about maybe say 21, 22, somewhere there, you know. And so I was living on my own now, and this part of my life, you know, trust in God, how to trust God for myself, how to lean on God, how to believe God, how to let God happen for me now. So this is where now, after being in the church, being in the fellowship of believers, I now have to learn to swim on my own in terms of trusting God and knowing God for myself. So while I was living alone, I was very afraid. And so in the nights, when night comes, I would make sure that all the windows and the doors are locked. It was a small apartment, and at night before I go to my bed, I would pray as I normally would, but I would put a pot cover. You know pot cover in Jamaica? Yes, I would put a pot cover on the door at night. Make sure that the pot cover sit on the handle of the door, so that if anyone come and try the door, the pot cover would fall off and I would wake up. Can you believe it? A pot cover I used to have a security force for me when I was living alone. But then I realized that even if somebody wants to come in, they can cut a grill or they can do whatever they want. And now I have to learn to trust in God. So in the early part of being alone, the pot cover was my security. But then I realized that I'm a Christian and I have to prove God for myself. And so now I started to pray in the night before I go to my bed. I have to pray in the night before I go to my bed. And then when I wake up in the night and realize that it's still night, I pray again. Right? And I believe and I trust. And when I wake up in the morning, say roughly 4:35 or 6 o'clock, I know that I don't have to go back to sleep. So I knew that God has carried me through the night. And then each night as I pray and I believe and I'm being secure and I'm being favored by God's presence and His protection, I'm now starting to take off the pot cover off the door and start praying and going to my bed and believing God. Can you believe it? A pot cover I use as security, and when that did not fulfill all my desires, I turned to Jesus in a full-fledged way. And so my trust, I believe that at that early stage in my Christian walk, now where I was learning to trust God on my own, I now starting to believe that if I am His, He's going to protect me. And so that pot cover has become my stepping stone for my now full belief in God, where I learn to trust Him at night. And then eventually I had a friend of mine, may her soul rest in peace. She has passed away, but she came to live with me, and that has helped me to have some company. And gradually, I started to trust God in a meaningful way and taking Him at His word that whatever He says He will do by taking care of you. What it is in your life that allows you to trust God? Where in your which part of your life that is pushing you to trust God more? Remember, this is a series that I'm opening up to you in a very special way about my how I got into the fellowship of God. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more in my next episode, which will be an episode that you have to brace yourself back for, because I'm going to share with you now some of the testing that I go through, some of the things that the naked things that come my way, that proves, that tests my faith, that tests my Christian character, and tests my purity. Yes, my Christian purity. I'm going to be sharing some of this for you. This is not a gossip. This whole series is not a gossip. This is real. This came from me. This happened to me. And so I want to share with you, for those who are struggling, you're a Christian and you're struggling and you feel like you're not making it in your walk with God, you're not making it in your faith with God, and you're still not making it by trusting in Him with your life. This is a real series that I'm going to tell you. I'm going to open up to you some real things that happened to me. And if you have to gossip about me when you're done, just gossip the gospel now. Share this with your friends and let them know that this girl, she's going to share some real things with you that happened as she grew in her walk with God. And I'm going to also share some favored moments that God favored me and I could see His hand protecting me. In this series, we're leaving no stones unturned, because we believe that if we each one reach one, then we will strengthen each other. Some of the things that happen to us as Christians, they're very personal, they're very private, and nobody can see them and touch them, only God. But some things you can share with caution and let persons know the real true matter of being a Christian, not just to put on clothes and go to church. The real issue of life, the real testing, the verdict that tests your faithfulness to your purity. Yes. I'm happy I got in. And I am staying within. And I wanted to come on this journey with me, but I also want to have a series with you. If you're willing to open up in a very special way about how you got in and how you are forging ahead in your Christian walk, just shoot me a text and let me know that you want to join in this series. I want some people to share the real thing about what it is to be a Christian that is bruised, that is battered, that is wounded, that is torn, that is broken, that is dried up, and that is yearning. And I want to share with you how I got in and how things are going for me, and even getting married and even being a parent, how my Christian walk is affected. So until we meet again in this series, sharing with you on my heart, our heart.